Come on, start. Yay,
Maybe.
it started.
Possibly.
It used to ding when it would say it was live, and it doesn't do it anymore. So
Ah,
we're on now. We had a little bugaboo because we tried this about 5 minutes ago, and Matt's phone decided to take a bit of a dump,
a little
or
bit.
Google decided to take a dump. Somebody took it. It did something, so we had to redo this again. So
If it comes between Apple and Google, I blame Google.
yeah. So anyway, we're here with the enormous UFO Supercell show thingy. I'm just calling it EUS because it makes better sense. Because then they'll be like, "What's that mean?" And then I can actually tell them what it means. Because if I tried to put that as the title, it would be like a paragraph because it's so long.
Nah. I think you need to type it all the way out, unless it's communication and stuff like that. But
It makes it
when you're
easier.
posting it out, yeah, enormous UFO supercell show.
You know. So, and I am in a angry mood because I have gnats in my apartment and it's driving me nuts. I get rid of one, I find two more. They're annoying.
I have the same issue.
I
And I'm
it's
done with it.
and and this is weather related too because I keep going with this because this happened last night because we'll probably talk about what happened. Last night it got so humid in my apartment. My humidity level in my apartment got to 60% relative humidity.
Wow.
That is and the thing is because when I was over at my mom's today, she said it last night that my sister who was staying with her because when she has to work her shifts down in Coralville, she stays with her and then goes back home in Bellevue, which she is tonight. She said to my mother that it was so hot in the house last night, and I looked at her humidity thing, and her humidity had peaked yesterday and last night at 59%. So it's
That
been
is
so bad, the humidity, that dehumidifiers would work. My mom has one, but it doesn't work as well as it used to anymore because it doesn't have the shutoff thing that works because it's just going to start piling up water everywhere. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's so bad when you have windows that are fogging up, doors fogging up, everything's fogging up because it's so humid. And today it felt humid, but it wasn't terribly bad.
I went to an appointment with my uh, local VA um, outpatient clinic, the one on the southwest side of Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
And I left the I left the office when I was done, and as soon as I got outside, my sunglasses instantly fogged over.
Yeah.
Instantly fogged over. I
And
saw, what was it, yesterday? I saw the highest dew point that I saw yesterday was 82,
yeah.
which is just absolutely ridiculous. You're
Plain
not like that.
plain corn and soybeans.
The
'Cause
evapotranspiration rears its ugly green head yet again.
yeah, I think yesterday and even today was better, but still not great. The humidity levels were just sky because yesterday they were high, but it wasn't like 95 with a dew point of 82. It was like 85 or 86, something like that. So when you have an 85, 86 over an 82, I don't care how good your house is or apartment building, it's going to seep in, and the humidity levels were sky high in houses. It was not a comfortable night, even with the air conditioner. It was not comfortable. And then
I can honestly say that I slept like a baby last night, and I like it cold and dry. So my air conditioner must be working really well.
mine's not, and my mother's is probably not as good, but
Well, mine's central air, and it's the unit itself, the compressor and the coil and everything, it's slightly oversized for the size of house I have.
Yeah.
So I think it runs a little bit better when it's this hot and humid. I think it's a little bit better on it because it's not working quite as hard.
Yeah.
To push out all that moisture.
Yeah.
But still, I was glad, but I wasn't, because you'd go outside and it'd be, you get used to it. You go back inside for a little bit, and go back outside, and you'd just be absolutely miserable. It felt like you were just getting slapped in the face.
Yeah. It's not really pleasant at all. Luckily, it's going to be a lot nicer this weekend. So, but unfortunately, last night, I'd literally say it was like tropical downpour. Rain. Well, here it's like it rained hard, and then it just was light rain for like hours, with thunder and lightning once in a while. But
really,
that's not what happened in Cedar Rapids, where it decided to downpour for hours. And there was severe weather over by Des Moines. The state fair got hit with bad weather. So
I wish I could have been around to see some reports about that. I didn't hear much about that.
Yeah, I heard, because I had heard that there had been a lot of stalled cars on the road, and that there had been water rescues, which I never saw or never heard about, so I don't know if that was true or not. But there was a lot of stalled cars. They closed a lot of roads for quite a bit of time in Cedar Rapids last night.
Yeah.
And listening to the scanner, it was like they were either talking about flooded roads, cars stuck on a flooded road, or in some cases, a few tree branches blocking roads, or stuff floating down the road and then blocking a road, like trees, cones, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Hey, Jeff, I got to put you on mute for a second, but I'll be right back. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back.
You'll be right back. So now we wait. And we continue to wait. What will be said now? Let's determine what will be said. So while we wait, we'll probably continue to talk about the flood, or it made it sound like it was a bad thing, but then it sounded like it wasn't as bad. But I didn't go to Cedar Rapids today to see if anything interesting had happened, so. Oh, excuse me. Hopefully this weekend, while we wait for Matt to do what he's doing, the state fair in Des Moines is going to have decent weather. this weekend. It'll probably be in the low 80s, lower humidity, so it'll be a great weekend to go. But one thing I've noticed about going to state fair is you never go on the weekend because it's always too busy. And if it's going to be a nice day, if you're like in a big building, let's say, for example, like the Varied Industries building, which is air conditioned, thank goodness that they spent money for that. If there's hundreds and thousands of people in there and they're all crammed together, I don't think it matters if the air conditioner is running or not. It's going to feel like a horrible place. And I've been at the state fair in the time when the Varied Industries building was not air conditioned. That was not a pleasant place to be. I think I only had gone to the state fair once when that building wasn't air conditioned, and there was only like 2 buildings in the entire fairgrounds that were air conditioned at the time. And today, I believe Varied Industries is. The cattle or the cattle thing is down on the south end. Under the grandstands is not. The where they have the flowers and the vegetable stuff is not. Trying to think what else is. There's several places that are smaller buildings that are. I know the cattle thing is not. Where they have not the stuff, but that's further down over toward the old barn. I know is not. I think a few of the other buildings are, but it'd be nice to go on a day where you're not running toward an air conditioned building, so you could go and eat, have something on a stick, and not feel like you're sweating or whatnot. But so it'll be nice this weekend for that down in Des Moines. I'm probably not going to go because it's this weekend, and the weekend, as I said before, there's too many people. It just ends up being too hectic, too crowded, and then it doesn't really matter if it's 75 or 85 or 115. It's going to feel bad no matter what the temperature. So that's that there. But yeah, last night, while I wait for Matt, we had storms. They came in. A line came down from the south, kind of then stalled, and then kind of came back north a little bit. And that's when it hit like in Cedar Rapids because they had the storms lasting a lot longer. Whereas here, where I live in Anamosa, the main heavy line had dropped south for quite a few hours, for at least an hour or two, and then came back up. And then by the time it came back up, the intensity had weakened fairly substantially. That's why we didn't get as much rain over here. We got enough. I mean, the ground is wet. It's muddy. I'm not overly concerned. The river's up, so. But outside that, the weather's been kind of a bit bland. Outside of has been some severe weather, not an overwhelming risk. And then I'll get onto this while I wait if Matt does come back or not, because I don't know. The thing that really kind of ticked me off this week was the precipitation forecasts, because I did a precipitation forecast on the network site yesterday. I had the probability of precipitation being fairly high in the northwestern, probably 2/3 of the state. Well, and of course I had it too low. I had it up, I think, up to 60%. And it ended up raining all day. I had the high temperatures way too high, which irritated me. And then for today's, Fridays, because we're doing this on Friday the 12th, I had it over the southeastern 2/3 of the state at about 60%. It stopped raining here at like mid-morning, and it never rained. It sprinkled, maybe tried to spit a little bit, but it didn't do anything. And I'm thinking, what is it going to do? Because it just kind of irritated me. And going to but into something that is of some relevance right now, because they're having the PGA Tour event at the John Deere Classic in the Quad Cities. They have been doused with rain delays there. There are some people that are starting their second round now, and we're doing this. It's now 7:15 when I'm doing this, 7:20, and they're starting their second round now. Guess what? They're not going to get very far. They'll be lucky if they play a hole or two before they have to stop due to darkness. Given the fact the sun is not out and it's cloudy, and especially at Deer Run, where they are outside of Moline, it's right on the Rock River. It's very secluded. It gets dark. It's much darker in that little kind of cubby hole that seems to be the golf course, especially on the holes down by the river. I've never been there, but I've seen it enough on TV to know that it's really secluded down there. Anyway, excuse me. So that's it this weekend, and of course, this is also the weekend down in Rio. They're having the Olympics golf tournament. So that's what's happening with that. But they down there in Moline, they've had so much rain delays and whatnot there. Other than that, there's been that tropical low that's been stuck over the Gulf Coast that's been slowly moving west. It's not, all it's doing is dumping a lot of rain. I saw earlier there's going to be some bad oops. Oh.
That's it.
Hey Jeff, I'll be right back. I'm still here, but I'm trying to help Michelle start some dinner.
Okay.
I promise I'll be right back.
You'll be right back.
After these messages.
So he's cooking dinner, so at least he's being a nice husband. He's cooking dinner. Okay, so anyway, that's what I figured he was probably cooking. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Now I've lost track. Matt made me mess up. I'll get back to it. Okay, golf course says delays and stuff. Oh yeah, tropical low. Tropical low moving over the area. So, and I saw earlier that they were having some bad weather down there in Louisiana again. So they're having a worse flood than we are down there. A tropical entity, it's over land, so it's not going to become anything. It's expected to kind of slowly pull up to the northeast a little bit and kind of dissipate as it does. So we'll see what becomes of that. Outside of that, the tropics look boring. Although I'm going to check it, because every time I say something and it's like, oh, and now there's a typhoon in North Korea or someplace, and there's a winter storm in Siberia. So let's see, the Atlantic is quiet, and the Pacific is, well, the Pacific is relatively quiet. There's a disturbance, but it's way out in the middle of nowhere, and it's not going to hit anything. So, yeah, the tropics are boring. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything elsewhere across the country. There's severe weather in Louisiana. There's flash flood warnings there. There's flash flood warnings from about Columbia, Jeff City, all the way to past Peoria to about the south side of Chicago. That's where all the rain has been today. There's a lot of heat across the east again, especially D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, up through New York and Hartford. Lots of heat advisories, excessive heat warnings. So that's where all the excitement is. So unfortunately, we're not getting any excitement now. Excuse me. So yeah, that's what's happening. And this is what's happening in your neck of the woods.
Okay, I am back.
He has returned from making food.
I have made my glorious return after putting together hamburgers.
Are you putting them on the grill now?
No, sir. She's gonna stove them
Okay.
this time around.
She's gonna put them on the stove.
She's gonna fry them. Fried boys.
What you should do is that we're going off topic again. Sorry, he started it. That you could fry it a little bit and then, or fry it up to a point, and then decide to put gravy on it, and then put it into the oven to marinate it, and then take it out, and then put it into a burger with onions, tomatoes, whatever.
You know
or
what?
you could do that with barbecue sauce. That would be better too.
No, the gravy thing sounds actually amazing. That's a really good idea. I might try that.
Yeah, or what you would do too is you would do that in gravy, because this is what I do, and this is what I'm going to do with my because I have steak here. So what I usually do now with steak is I'll just put the steak, I'll probably just kind of grill it a little bit.
Sear it?
Yeah, sear it. And then I'll put it into a pan, well, not a pan, Corningware dish, and I'll dump baked beans in it. And
there you go.
45 minutes. And all the juices from the steak kind of make the baked bean and taste good, and the baked beans. I've done that before. Oh.
That sounds really, really, really good.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
It sounds like summer. It's summertime food, because you would use the baked beans as it cooks, and the steak cooks as marinade.
Jeff, you're making me hungry. Jeff Wilcox, everybody. The cookbook is coming out soon.
Well, I already ate. I ate an early dinner, so I'm not hungry, because the minute I think about food, my stomach hurts, because I ate at Mikado's over here in Anamosa, and I had
good place.
I had my taco tater, so it's like a baked potato with taco meat and cheese and tortilla chips and tomatoes and black olives and stuff. So
it's not the place that's right downtown, is it?
No. If you're talking about the place that's downtown, you're talking about Tyler and Downing, which is downtown, which I've never been in, but I was like, they had taco salad as a special today, and it made me mad because we were taking, my mother and I and my niece were taking my mom's dog to the groomer. So.
Oh, nice.
So we drove past it, and it made me all angry, but Mikado's is the thing that's right next to the motorcycle museum.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
And I ran into people I knew. So it's like, ugh. But anyway, we went off topic because he does that.
Cooking brains with Jeff and Matt.
But cooking, but stuff like that is good. Or you put foil and you grill, or do the marinade, because you do marinade, because I have barbecue sauce here. I bought a bunch of those barbecue sauces, those small ones that are in the 4-pack, the Kansas City and whatnot, those small little things. You can just brush it on even an uncooked thing, or just seared, and just do that and cook it, or even on hamburger or anything. Pork chops, chicken. Cook. So I never eat normal meat. I have to have it with something. Pork chops, I put it in with the stuffing, and I just mix it in the stuffing, kind of like stuffed pork chops, but instead of the stuffing in the pork chop's in the stuffing.
Oh.
So it does that.
That sounds really good.
And then baked beans and stuff. And
Wilcox, sir, you're making me very, very, very hungry.
Sorry.
That is quite okay, because I'm getting ready to eat.
Yeah, he's gonna eat, and that's when he's gonna leave.
Yep. Goodbye, world.
Yeah, goodbye. He'll be seen when his stomach explodes from all the food he's eating.
I'll see you on the other side of the dinner plate.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I always come up with this stuff since I've had to live on my own for so many years. I've come up with my own stuff to try to cook. For example, this is off topic slightly, but it is weather related, sort of, because it makes me hot and sweaty. When I make taco, as I call it, because I like taco. That's why I had taco tater at Mikado's today. Anyway, I used to start with making taco meat and then throwing it on in like making taco salad, like taco meat, shredded cheese, black olives, and lettuce, and then eating that. Oh no, I don't do that anymore. I took the lettuce out. I now have the taco meat, the cheese. I've now taken the spicy sweet chili Doritos that are in the purple bag, crush a bunch of them, sprinkle those in, and then I throw in green olives or pimentos, throw them in, and then I mix all that up and then douse it with taco sauce. And then eat it as a
Okay,
dip.
can I come to your house? Because you're a much better cook than I am.
So I've done that. Oh, it's so good. I usually end up falling asleep after eating all that stuff. It's almost like I make like Thanksgiving like every night when I because everybody does that at Thanksgiving. You eat a bunch of turkey and stuffing and all that stuff, starchy food.
Right.
And you're like, because when you want to watch football,
there's a term for that. There's a term for that. Carb coma.
Yeah.
Carb coma.
Yeah.
You put yourself in carb coma.
Yeah. So we went off topic, but outside that, so we went off that. But yeah, there's not much excitement going on outside of flooding going on in the Gulf Coast. What happened yesterday? Heat in the east, which is going to go away because there's cooler air is coming in. But
I need to interject something to get us back onto weather topic.
uh-oh.
This is a bit of a pick of the week type thing.
Okay.
And this comes from Twitter. There's a I think fairly new Twitter account that basically makes fun of weather forecasters.
Oh,
well, I wouldn't say it makes fun of it, but it's the way each post is written. It sounds like they're an extremely dysfunctional NWS office. And the Twitter handle is at NWS Podunk.
Oh. Yeah.
And they are absolutely hilarious. Like, here's an example of a tweet from NWS Podunk. This was posted yesterday. Issuing a 30% chance of rain and kicking back to watch the complaints roll in is really the fruit salad of our lives.
Yeah. More. Yeah, because I'm reading this right now. Like, for example, their pinned tweet is, "We're here 24/7 staring at screens to keep you safe. Most of the screens have weather on them, but some have SpongeBob." And they use the
tagline. We're the third wheel of forecast offices. Oh, excuse me. We still use WSR 57, winner of the biggest polygon at the county fair. Not an actual NWS office, but we should be. And they have 150. They're following 154 people, and 1,628 are following them.
Yeah, I have it on screen. I mean, it's funny. So, yeah.
Folks, thanks for the suggestions, but we're not moving our office to that vacant NWS building in Michigan. We get a 10% off at Arby's here.
Yeah, because that is true that they're selling or auctioning off that excuse me, that they were auctioning off the old NWS office at Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I think
they were.
Yeah. So, and it looked kind of like a dump.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that it looks like that, but oh well.
And actual NWS offices are actually getting in on this. Like, they're going back and forth with NWS Boston.
Yeah. I'm just scanning Twitter now for stuff.
Please stop filing censorship claims against us with the FCC because mammatus clouds give you the vapors. It's ruining our reputation in DC.
Oh, good grief. That's funny.
That is a great follow. If you're a weather nerd and you like a little bit of humor with your weather, follow NWS Podunk. You have my official seal of approval.
Yeah. I mean, now this is interesting that, excuse me, that there was earlier this afternoon, a few hours ago, there was a funnel cloud reported north of the Quad Cities. So,
really?
And that would be truthful for the fact that this is the type of weather that we've seen this lately. A lot of these days, over the past 2 weeks, we've had a lot of these funnel clouds.
Yep.
So, and some of them have touched down because we've had a lot of these brief tornadoes we've had lately over the last like 2-3 weeks. Then we had that land spout, water spout thing in Council Bluffs a little over a week ago.
Yes.
So, and then I happen to think, oh, we don't have any tornadoes in Iowa this year. And then I look at the Weather Service and it says we've had 33. Still below average, but not by much. I'm thinking, well, where were these all? Well, it's like, oh, and then this tornado took down for a quarter of a mile, and then this one took down for 3/4 of a mile, and this one took down for like a half mile. I'm like, really? The longest tornado track in Iowa this year is 5 miles. I think 5 or 6. And there's only been 2 EF2s. And the rest have been EF1s and 0s. So,
and not a very hot day or a hot year for tornadoes in Iowa at all.
Yeah, it's kind of a quiet year. We still have to worry about the fall because we never know what's going to happen with the fall. This could be the year that, because I'm surprised at how many tornadoes we've had in July. Comparatively speaking, July is this month right now. July has had the most tornadoes. June, which is typically in Iowa the month with the most tornadoes, had only 4. And July had I think it was close to 15 or something to that effect. But they were all minor, except for those EF2s were in that. And that was in that squall line a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Where there was the one at Vinton and then the one at Walford. I think it was those two that were, no, yes. Yeah, because that squall line, that morning squall line from a couple weeks ago had, I think it was 5 tornadoes in it, which is odd given the time of the day it was, between about 4 and 6:30 or 7, and there's tornadoes. Well
after peak heating.
Yeah, well, it was as the sun was about to come up. So.
Oh, you meant the morning deal?
Yeah, the morning stuff, the ones in the middle, in the early morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, early morning tornadoes, that ended up being probably that ended up being the day with the most tornadoes. A squall line that occurred at 4 in the morning and started producing tornadoes everywhere. Yeah. And that brings up the point that we were going to discuss, but you had an issue last week, because I discussed it with Caleb last week, where the Weather Service in Des Moines did a study on a 2014 event and found 111 possible tornadoes in a squall line. 111.
In one squall line in one day?
Yes, in Iowa. They determined of those 111, 30, something over 30 were tornadoes.
Wow.
Which would mean that now I don't know if this is an official thing or not, but this was on the Weather Service Des Moines blog last week. It came out last Friday, and I'm gonna go find it. So let me go look for it, because
yes, please do.
Yeah, because they said if this was to be true, it would mean it was Iowa's largest tornado outbreak, Because right now that's 24 tornadoes, and that's from April 11th of 01, which was a low-top supercell day where there was just like little tornadoes all over the place.
Yep. It was also one of those northwest to southeast days, too. Storm motion was northwest to southeast.
April 2001 was a low that was in Missouri, and the storms kind of came up in an arc, and they were moving south to north, and then some of the storms were moving slightly north-northwest, something like that, especially the ones near Des Moines. That was the one where a tornado hit near Ottumwa in Agency and killed 2 people in the community center, I think it was, where in the community center wall fell on them, something like that. EUS Des Moines. So I gotta find, here it is, Weather Whisper. Server is temporarily disabled. Well, screw that. Boo!
Well, that doesn't help.
Let me find it. Da, 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 da. No results are found. Results are found. I want to find them. Here it is. So let me get this, because this is, no. Are you going to tell me? No, it's not working right now. It's being mean. You mean things. Evidently, it doesn't want me to know. Yeah, the Weather Service website, the servers are being really bitchy, so it's like, nope, we don't want you to find anything. Nope, sorry. Like, nope, not happening here. I'm surprised it's even letting me see anything else. Yeah.
Is it just the NWS Des Moines servers, or is it all of National Weather Service?
If I would take a guess, it's probably everybody.
That's not good. That's not good at all.
The sites are coming up. It's just nothing. If you click on a link, it decides to be really snitty. They have the event summary for the flooding event that occurred yesterday on Weather Service Davenport, but I think it's acting up. But when it comes back, right now, it's just right now the Weather Service. I think it's a weather.gov server problem that has like the blogs and whatnot is not working. But I discussed this with Caleb, and I was like, they showed pictures of what you would see is like tornadoes that would just be in one field. They touch down, go through a field, and then go back up, and they counted it as a tornado. They were mainly EF0s, and I'm thinking, and this brought up to the point of Caleb's thing about doing derechos and whatnot, and if there's these type of squall lines that are coming in that are producing these mini tornadoes that last maybe like 30 seconds or a minute, and then you never see them until you see the crop damage, are we in for possibly seeing, or have we seen, Iowa's worst tornado outbreak and you never knew it? I'm thinking, because when they were like saying that there was 30 tornadoes, and there was at least 111, I think it was, instances of damage that was possibly a tornado. Can you imagine if all of those had been tornadoes, and then you had a squall line come through and it produced 111 tornadoes? That would make April 27th look like a tiddly-ass thing compared to that. Even though it's been all EF0s, but 111 tornadoes sounds horrible compared to... It's like...
In terms of pure numbers, April 27th obviously will always take the cake for sheer violence and the number of violent tornadoes that hit major population areas on that day.
I just think, because it took them, I think, several months, and then it wasn't until they posted it on their blog, Weather Whisper, I think it's called, that...
The Des Moines blog, right?
Yeah, the Des Moines blog, where it was like, there could have been this many. I don't know if that was, if they said that that's true or not, because it was from a 2014 event. But this makes me think, are we really that good enough? Because you're not going to issue tornado warnings on a squall line, hoping and thinking that there may be a tornado in a squall line. But then there happened to be an event where there was at least 30 that they could determine were tornadoes and 80 others that were close to being tornadoes but weren't quite. Sounds kind of creepy to me. That what happens if one of these things comes and hits your house and then it goes away? These were mainly in farm fields. What if this goes through like a big metropolitan area and starts dropping these little tiny little mini tornadoes everywhere? That sounds scary to me now.
The question there then lends itself to what was their real probability of detection on that day? Like what did the post-event survey look like? What was their probability of detection? And they were obviously looking at extremely fine scale data. Did they have some other radar source? And was that radar source, part of like the hazardous weather test bed or, something like that? How did they be able to see that many possible tornadoes and be able to narrow it down and make judgment calls on those on the fly at, in the heat of the moment? Because that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a judgment call. They got together, saw the presentations on radar, and decided, okay, we think this is a tornado, but we don't think this actually is, even though there's, evidence of it on radar.
The thing was, they did it after when they went and found the damage, because it was showing the pictures of, because it was fascinating to the point that they saw, there was one instance that I saw. I wish these servers were working, because this is fascinating. They showed, this was in the same squall line. I think it was August something 2014. I can't remember the date, because I showed it and I was like, I don't remember it. But now I'm going to remember it because I'm thinking there are 30 tornadoes. And it's like, okay.
Exactly.
But I'm thinking, and then there may have been 100. There was one instance, and this freaked me out more, where they actually caught one tornado and another tornado was right next to it, and they merged together. That freaked me out. I'm thinking squall lines are now producing tornadoes. Now they're producing merging tornadoes, because you could see the one tornado and you could see the other tornado, and you could see the merger point in the farm field that was destroyed, and then you could see it continue on for a little bit longer, and then it disappeared. And that didn't, that only went through, I think, 2 farm fields. 2 tornadoes touched down, merged, went through another field, dissipated. Lasted maybe 30 or 40 seconds. It gives me the creeps now when squall lines are going to come in. I'm not trying to scare people into going, oh my gosh, your squall line could have tornadoes. But when it was a date that I was like, oh, it was August something. I didn't remember it. I don't think it was that. It was probably a day there was a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. But if these storms were producing that, what was the difference between, let's say, a squall line that did that and a squall line that didn't do that? And I mentioned this to Caleb because I'm thinking there's going to have to be studies done that are some storms going to have the propensity to produce these small tornadoes and have them in abundance, or just produce straight line wind and nothing happens.
And what combination of instability and shear and dynamics, mid-level support, upper-level support, would you need to recreate a squall line or an MCS that would produce that many possible tornadoes again?
Yeah. Because
that's the really fascinating part for me, is what would it take to recreate it? What were the conditions? Were there SONs up and flying inside that? What did they show?
Yeah, I don't know.
Were there planes flying through that? What does their weather data show?
I wish this stupid thing would work. Stupid storms.
Right?
I mean, come on, Des Moines, work, please.
Just keep hitting the refresh button and hope it works.
Yeah, but it's not going to. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. It's not going to help me, but it did tell me the day, August 31st.
Of 2014. That doesn't ring a bell, like, at all.
Yeah. Well, now, that's what I saw it on a thing. I still can't get it because the server's broken. August 31st, 2014. That's the day that we're according to what they're assuming. It's assumptions, but they were able to do this. I don't know if they're going to add this in or not. I highly doubt they probably will now. But it's kind of a bit frightening to see that it takes until 2016 to say, oh, there were 30 tornadoes on this day. I'm sorry, huh? And when you think about it going backwards, how many that it takes this long to just see these little tiny minuscule things? Yeah, they don't last long, but what if it goes to a subdivision? Then it's going to be a problem. If it's out, and it brings up a point, if it's out in the middle of the farm field, unless you have a drone up, which now that's where it's really helping now, as if you have a drone up, you can see the damage right away. But if it's out in the farm field where there's no roads to get to it, it's not going to be seen unless it's through the air. And I think at this point, they were lucky enough that within a few weeks after that event, that people were able to fly around to look for these things. But it took so long to finally determine, okay, this was a tornado, this wasn't. But because this line was very long lasting, it's just kind of a bit frightening to hear that this is out in the middle in the country. But if this had happened in the city, it would have been worse.
Wow.
Did you get it to work?
No, but I found something else.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, that was just the year. Never mind. I apologize. I thought I had something up from the Weather Channel about that event, but it was 2014 in general, not just that event. It was saying that Iowa had seen like 12,000 some hail damage reports via State Farm Insurance, but that was for the entire year, not for just that one event.
Okay, now here's this. I just decided I went back to looking at the tornado event from August 31st of 2014.
Okay.
How many does the Weather Service Des Moines think there were that day? Compared to what they think that it is now, which is 30 or something around there. How many do they say they can confirm? 2.
What's that?
2.
Really?
But now they think there could have been upwards of 30 plus. Sounds horrendous. But the 2 that they got were longer tracked tornadoes. One was 2 miles and one was just over 3. One was in EF0, one was in EF1. And they were in Carroll and Webster County. So, and I believe...
Hey, I just found something off the Weather Decision Training Branch. A kind of a postmortem of this event.
Yeah, of August 31st?
Yeah. In the days following the passage of a strong QLCS across central Iowa on August 31st, 2014, the entire 350-kilometer path of the storm was imaged at 1-meter resolution through the USDA National Agricultural Imagery Program. This imagery offers an extraordinary glimpse into the quantity, evolution, and scale of surface vortices generated through the entire lifespan of this QLCS. A total of 111 such tracks were cataloged and 35 classified as tornadoes. This presentation will showcase notable tracks, a proposed reclassification of tornadic debris signatures that is better suited for QLCS tornadoes, possible tornado genesis mechanisms, and NWS Warning Forecast Office warning/storm data implications using aerial data sets.
Okay.
And it's showing an SRV and CC 2-panel above that.
Okay. Luckily, I give credit to the Mid-Iowa Skywarn. They copied the Weather Service thing. So I show you How many tornadoes can one squall line produce? So this is what it is. I found it because we discussed this last week on a polygon, but I'm going to discuss it now.
Good.
This is crop damage. It's a bit squeezed because the picture is not at the best resolution because of the website, but
it's compressed a lot.
Yeah, it's compressed. But this is what I've like. Look at this. Right here. There's that. This looks horrendously scary here. It's like when you're seeing numbers at T10, T4, it's like, okay, this sounds horrendously scary, but this is what it is. Right here. 111. Right there. Discrete damage tracks that could have originated from a tornado. Using this test, that is how many they were classifying. 35. How many did the Weather Service get? 2. This test indicates 35 were tornadoes.
That is an extremely low, based on the parameters of this test, then that means their probability of detection was almost nil.
But what it's indicating now is that if they're going to be using these tests now, there's going to be an explosion of tornadoes seen now. Because Iowa's average tornadoes a year is 44. If there's these tornadoes now, that number is probably closer to 50 or maybe even into the 50s. Because what is a tornado? If it touches down on the ground, it's a tornado.
Right.
If it just touches down and goes right back up and it just damages like maybe like 10 meter by 10 meter area, is that like, well, that's not a tornado. Well, what now we have to define a tornado as something that touches down and then moves for an X amount of distance? I mean, I think it brings up that point. If this test indicates that there was 35 tornadoes that they never saw, and
but I think the bigger question, though, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, with this thing, if there's 35 tornadoes, all of a sudden it turned a 2014 year. In 2014, Iowa had 56 tornadoes. Okay, with this, you're now looking at possibly near 90. That's like a top 5 year for tornadoes, or top
Correct.
10 at least.
But I think that number would be a little bit deceiving because if this framework for this test were implemented all over the country,
oh God,
I think the tornado numbers would skyrocket, but they would all be proportional. I believe they would all be proportional to what we have now.
Which brings up, and this is something I thought about talking about with Caleb, about we can have tons of tornadoes, but if they're only of zeros, yeah, they're still tornadoes, but they're weak. Which brings up a point with hurricanes. It only takes one, like an Andrew, in a year that was very below normal, to be devastating. Which brings back what they do for hurricanes. They bring up the Accumulated Cyclone Energy Index, or ACE.
Correct.
Why don't they have that for tornadoes?
A tornado cyclone energy.
A tornado index where you could have a lot of tornadoes, but if they're all weak, you had a below average year for tornado strength or something like that.
Or a tornado ACE.
Something like that. Yeah. You could do ATE, or Accumulated Tornado Energy Index. 8, because it ate stuff. But this, I don't know. It's just messed up. But yeah, this is the tornado right here. This one and this one merged and formed a new one. This is right here. There's one tornado. There's the other tornado. There's the merger point. And then that's where it continued and died. This is scary stuff. And look, imagine if you were in this farm. I don't think so. That would be scary. And look, here's a farm over here. That tornado missed it. That tornado missed it. It merged, missed this place, and kept going.
I don't think it'd be scary at all because this is a squall line, correct?
Yes.
So that means they would be extremely wrapped in rain. You probably wouldn't even know it until your roof was flying off, if you were not already in shelter.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and they make this too about issuing tornado warnings. This is where severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado tags are the best, because they will that's what they would need for this thing, because they make sense. There's no, because these two tornadoes you see here, these two, was northeast of Stratford. In fact, if you look at right here, this square grid area is the town of Stratford. So this tornado started here, and then another tornado started, and then they merged together and then kind of died out.
So tornado 0141, or
that's the time it was. So it was 04141Z, which would be 841. And then 2 minutes later, the blue tornado started, and they merged together at 846. So that tornado lasted several minutes.
So that one started in town, though.
It just started outside.
According to the graphic.
Yeah, just outside of town. And it looks like it crossed paths and then merged together over a minute period, right about over this field.
That's amazing that all this happened in what? 7 minutes, but over the space of a mile.
No, roughly. In that little square where this thing was.
Correct.
It's about a mile. Yeah.
I was actually looking in reference to the bottom picture where it says merger, post-merger.
Yeah, this is about, over about a mile, maybe even slightly less. You have the one tornado, and then they merge, and then they continued. I mean, this just...
A mile in 7 minutes. That means that they had a relative storm motion of, what, 15 miles per hour?
The tornadoes?
Yes.
Well, from this grid point, and I'll put it right about here. I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4 in northeast. No, I think what it was from here to here, where it merged, is roughly about 5 miles. So it was probably the tornadoes were moving at 60. Maybe 50 to 60 miles an hour. So
okay, then I'm looking at it wrong. I apologize.
No, I
was looking at the wrong timeline in relation to distance.
Because I'm looking at it, because I'm doing the grid, so I'm guessing, because this square is probably this from here to here is 1 mile, 2, and then I have to do the diagonal down, so it's probably about 5 miles from here to about here. So, and that would make it.
And that makes sense,
5 minutes, that'd be 60, but I'm kind of dropping it down to maybe 50. So it's probably, they were moving probably about, the blue tornado I think was moving slightly slower, because my guess is the blue tornado, we'll just call these tornadoes, we'll just call them that. The Weather Service, we'll just call them that. This tornado was probably, the blue one was a satellite, and of the red one. And then they merged, because you notice then the blue one got bigger, or the damage got bigger, and then it merged, and then it died out. So, but
But that kind of makes sense, because, can you scroll up a little bit?
Yeah.
In that square where it says 0146, that's the time. That's essentially what looks like the time of the merger. The time the two tornadoes merged. So from the time the two tornadoes merged,
145.30 and 146.30. So yeah, about 146Z or 8:40 p.m.
And the time of tornado dissipation is
8:48 or 148Z.
Yeah, 0148Z. That means it covered that much distance, like I was talking about before, in about 2 minutes, which
as a merge storm.
About a mile in 2 minutes, which lends a tornado forward motion of 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. So I think what happened was the tornado, after it merged, it did slow down and then dissipated, because when it goes slower, I think in this case in a squall line, the straight line wind may have kind of undercut it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these squall line tornadoes is they spin themselves up, but then they get undercut by cold air from the rain.
The outflow, yes.
And they get killed off. But then that's what causes this. you get the outflow boundaries that come off.
Yep.
And that's what does it. But then what happens is the storms kind of jump up back to the boundary and the tornadoes form again because that's where it's still surface based.
Yeah, it's still trying to follow
the
that
boundary hits, everything's elevated. Because, I mean, this is like fascinating stuff. This is going to make me want to go back and look at this event because we may have to diagnose this event more in another episode because we're nearing the anniversary of it. Because this is
that might be a special.
I
think this might have to be a special episode so we can just dig into this thing because what all this stuff is showing is that even though we have great radar technology, what's going to shake out, I think, is that we still don't know crap about tornado genesis because nobody gives a second thought really to QLCS tornadoes. You know, we all know them as short-lived and not very strong, and not many of them. And this completely blows out of the water the idea of there not being many QLCS tornadoes in a QLCS event.
Yeah. And yeah, this storm, it was in western Iowa, but this is gonna. Now, the corn thing that's compressed, this picture, that was from a tornado that was actually confirmed. That's one of the two, the one near Dayton.
Is that the complete damage path?
This is a tornado.
This was a complete damage path, though, because it looks like all around it there's stuff still standing.
Yeah, but this was in an area that there was a confirmed tornado.
Wow.
Because that was for one of the ground surveyed tornadoes, and that was they did that back in September, and by this point, this was 11 days after the event, and this was
correct
like this.
Oh, okay. So some of the stuff had probably already stood up.
But you see this. A lot of this was done with that thing with the USDA imagery program.
Yep.
Where it says, and the imagery was discovered. Evidently, it's like, oh, here's tornadoes. We've discovered them. Okay. So it's taken 6 to 8 months, and this is just kind of. Can you imagine a tornado lasting 130 meters? But this is what's scary. This one, a tornado track of 18 kilometers. That's 11 miles. The longest tornado track back on August 31st that I told you was just over 3. There was a track of a possible tornado of 11 miles. This I think is going to have to be looked at because we're going to have to delve into this some more because this is probably, I didn't do a blog post about this, but maybe I need to because this.
Well, Jeff's not going to get any sleep tonight.
No, because I looked at this yesterday because this came out right before the Polygon I did last week with Caleb, and I discussed this with him and because since he did the stuff for the Super Drake show,
right?
Go back and look at his Polygon number 111, but
shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug, but it's to the point that he's doing a lot of stuff he did a lot of stuff with the ratios, but now now that he's in Norman and he's at SPC, thank you. We have somebody there that he works actually at Sims, but he's in the same building. That maybe this needs to be like the next thing that needs to be looked at is QLCS tornadoes. How many of them are actually produced? Because it's evident, according to this test that they did, that QLCS tornadoes aren't rare, and in some cases, they could be quite common on squall lines.
Correct.
And that would probably blow people. For people. This is like the moment, the blow your mind moment. That now everybody is going to think a squall line is going to be a tornado.
Yeah, this is going to be. This could have.
This could
be a big deal.
This could be game changing for squall lines by people thinking that squall lines are nothing exciting and they're boring. I'm sorry, squall lines have now just become probably as bad as tornado warnings now.
Correct.
That doesn't mean we issue tornado warnings. It just means now there's a very good possibility you may be seeing a lot more tornado tagged severe thunderstorm warnings now than you used to, especially if it's squall lines. If it's like a supercell and it's not rotating, it's not going to be tornado tagged. But if it's a squall line and there's enough of an area that looks like there could be something, you're going to see a lot of tornado tagged severe thunderstorm warnings. I think that's sure now. And until we get pinpointed. But
I tell you what, I'm going to be paying a lot closer attention to QLCS events around here.
Yeah, so
that's for dang sure.
And for your benefit, because I'm going to send this to you so you can look at it.
Yay, thank you.
So
got it.
That's from Mid-Iowa Skywarn. So thank you, because Weather Service was broken. That Mid-Iowa Skywarn posted this, so I'm happy that they did.
Shout out to Mid-Iowa Skywarn. You guys rule.
Yeah, they're excited. Yay, we like them. But yeah, because this is based at, because this is actually, Mid-Iowa Skywarn is based at the Weather Service. So,
cool.
So this helps when, I think it is, because they posted everything from their website on here, especially if their website's broken, so like it was, so, or the servers were down, so that's going to be something that's going to have to be, so we're going to have to probably look back at that.
Yes, I smell a special coming.
Yeah, because trying to get Kevin Scow on, he's the one who wrote that up. I think it was Kevin Scow. I don't remember. You'd have to look it up because I took it off, but
okay.
But trying to get him on, we've tried to get Weather Service people from Des Moines on. We can't, so
That's tried. Okay. But good sir, I need to step off because I need to go eat dinner.
So yeah, go and eat your dinner, even though I made it better by saying you need to put gravy and then put it on mashed potatoes
and baked beans,
or like make it into a sandwich, like your mashed potatoes is bread and put the hamburger in it with the gravy and douse it or something like that. I'm making him feel really bad that he's not getting that.
Yes,
because that would be hamburger gravy. We used to have that in school all the time, hamburger and then gravy and mashed potatoes. Anyway, go eat.
Yes, sir. Take care, everybody. Have fun, be safe, and happy weathering.
Yeah, weathering. Yeah, that sounds like a good thing. Anyway, so as Matt runs off to eat his hamburger and whatnot, we'll let you know that next week we're going to try to do a show. And there's a reason for that, because there's some circumstances that are going on where I may not be able to. So we'll see if we can. There's no guarantees on that at this point, but we'll see. Anyway, so we'll see you whenever, and we'll see you at that time for another show that's called The Enormous UFO Supercell. I don't know why we're calling it that, but it sounds cool. So goodbye.